Sigrid's looking really nice. We're heading into the second half of patch 3.1. Sigrid is our new S rank ice attacker agent, and she's looking to be quite the powerful crit DPS. However, we just had a Void Hunter release, so pulls are more scarce than ever. What's up guys, I'm Deep Fox. We're going to talk about how worth it Sigrid is, or whether or not you should be saving your pulls for patch 3.2, because Claret and Roxy are actually looking really cool. So Sigrid actually has a lot going for her. She's quite a powerful crit DPS, and her gameplay loop is pretty simple. It revolves around holding basic attacks, and she does a substantial amount of damage very consistently as well. Sigrid's actually really easy to build. She has a lot of crit rate and flat attack built into her kit, and so on stat screen, you really just need 34% crit rate in order to cap. And if it's pretty easy to cap on crit rate, that means you can load up on crit damage. Sigrid is representing the crit damage era of crit DPSs, which I don't think it's coming to a finish. I don't think they're gonna stop releasing crit DPS characters, but as we're about to talk about, the new armor characters kind of revolve around crit rate mechanics. And so since Sigrid's wanting to load up on crit damage, it makes Severed Innocence a very strong alternative option to Sigrid's signature engine if you can't pick that up. And if you haven't already cashed in your 3.1 free selectors, then Severed Innocence is available as an option. And if you're interested in pulling on Sigrid Mindscapes, her first couple Mindscapes are actually really good. So M1 puts extra damage instance on her basic string and then adds another 25% attack, and also has an ice proc associated with it. About a 20% overall increase over M0. And then M2 is going to be your best vertical stopping point. At M2, you get increased pen ratio to her spear state stances, as well as increased decibel generation. Past M2 though, her mindscapes are a little rough. On paper, they appear to be really strong, but in practice, they both M4 and M6 amount to about 10% damage increases. So not nearly as strong as the M6 increase that we generally see on agents. As for Sigrid cons, honestly, not that many. She's going to be really strong agent on release, but that's mainly my concern. How she's going to age. I mean, we've seen how they've treated ice attackers in the past. I mean, Ellen and Hugo is, hasn't been maintained really that much at all. I mean, Ellen did get potential unlocks, but they didn't really, budge her placement substantially. Like, she still is almost viable. So, I mean, I want Ellen to be really good again. And the only other downside I really wanted to mention is, she almost seemed a little too easy, but, I'm sure we'll get some more depth with the new bosses and stuff like that. All right, so let's touch on Claret. She's coming soon, and she represents the new armorer class. So what is an armorer? So to put it really simply, armors scale off defense. Their attacks build a meter that's similar to the anomaly meter, and it's called Gash. They build up Gash, and then they detonate that for damage. And so the way their crit rate works is once you cap out on crit rate, anything past that makes it so that you get a chance at super crit. And so I fully anticipate we'll be getting more armor agents announced here soon, so that they can synergize well with Claret. They can have a chance to detonate Claret's built up Gash stacks. We already know that Claret already has some buffs that have been rumored so far. She's going to get Rupture and Armor added to her kit for her core passive synergies. And just note that her kit is still actively being reworked. Devs are investing a lot of time into switching around her mechanics and seeing what works. And in fact, just last night, we had news that she can now use crit damage. Crit damage roll is 70% of a crit rate roll. So that doesn't imply that you're going to be chasing crit damage rolls over crit rate rolls. It just means that now crit damage isn't a useless substat. All right, now let's talk about Roxy. So she's going to be Wind Stunner Agent coming in patch 3.2. She's going to synergize very well with Claret, and she's still going through a lot of reworks herself. In fact, any information you might have seen last week is already outdated. We found out that she now scales off of energy regen instead of scaling off of defense. So Roxy works really well with Claret because the way her crit rate conversion works is that any surplus crit rate gets converted into team-wide crit rate for armor classes. And she's not just locked to armor teams either. She's going to work well with a lot of teammates. In fact, she'll work fine with Sigrid as well. Beta playtesting is showing that she's going to perform essentially as second best stunner for Sigrid, with Norma being the best in slot stunner for Sigrid. All right, so the way the pulls shake out to me is if you already own Norma, you pull Sigrid. You already have Sigrid's best in slot stunner. Norma is very good for Sigrid, and day one you could be playing Norma, Arena, Sigrid. And then if you already own a stunner that's not Norma and you don't love Sigrid, then you just skip her and save up for Claret or Roxy. Then if you don't have any premium stunner on your account, then you go for Dylan. She's actually going to be on the banner coming up here soon, and she's going to have that 50-50 mechanic where you're guaranteed the first 50-50. So that's really nice. Don't skip out on her if you're looking for a premium stunner. Now I'm specifying premium stunner because you already have free-to-play Lycon and you already have Coleta. Lycon is still good, always has been, and Coleta, with her new buffs that she's getting, is going to have expanded synergies, and I think that she's going to be revived again, more or less. I mean, we just saw the arena buffs really were essential and made her much more fun to play and a viable agent. I think the same is going to happen with Coleta. And last, if you just love Sigrid, pull her. She's going to be easy to build, really strong on release, and honestly, you just can't go wrong if you pull an agent that you really like. The meta just doesn't even matter at that point. You'll have fun playing them. And then the very last thing is Sigrid is an attacker agent. You know what that means? It means we can play her with Seed, technically. Now, it's not looking great, honestly. I mean, they're both really hungry for field time, and the stun window is going to be purely them fighting over who can have time in that window. Cecilia, on the other hand, might have some more potential here, not with Sigrid, but potentially with Claret. They're both going to be electric type agents. However, the way that Claret's kit is stated currently, it doesn't look like she's going to be able to take advantage of crit damage buffs from her teammates or from stage buffs. So we'll see. Hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on the latest news I'm going to be putting out on these agents, and I'll see you in the next video.